"I'll sleep in the barn," she begged, but the mountain man said, "You'll sleep next to me." The storm came down the mountain like it had been waiting for her name, snow snapping sideways through the pines, wind howling so loud it drowned out thought, fear, even prayer, and by the time she stumbled into the clearing her boots were soaked through, fingers numb, breath ripping out of her chest in white, panicked clouds. She hadn't meant to trespass, hadn't meant to beg, hadn't meant to collapse at the edge of a man's land like a wounded animal, but desperation doesn't ask permission. The cabin stood dark against the storm, thick logs stacked like a fortress, smoke curling low from the chimney, and before she could talk herself out of it she knocked, weak at first, then harder, until the door opened and the mountain man filled the frame like the mountain itself, broad shoulders, beard frosted with snow, eyes sharp and unreadable, a rifle resting easy in his grip as if it were part of him. She raised her hands, voice shaking, explaining too fast, tripping over words about losing the trail, about needing shelter just for the night, about not wanting trouble. He didn't answer right away. He studied her like men do who've learned the hard way that mercy can get you killed. Then he stepped aside and said one word, "Inside." The warmth hit her like a memory she didn't deserve. Firelight, the smell of pine and iron, heavy blankets folded neat. She stood dripping on the floorboards, suddenly aware of how small she was in his world. "I'll sleep in the barn," she blurted, panic rising again. "I don't want to be a burden." "I don't want," he cut her off, voice low but steady. "There is no barn." Outside, the wind screamed louder, as if agreeing. She swallowed. "Then the floor." "Anywhere." "I don't need," he shook his head once. "You'll freeze." Silence stretched between them, thick and dangerous. Her eyes flicked to the narrow bed near the fire, then away just as fast. "I'll sleep in the corner," she whispered. That's when he set the rifle down, finally, and looked at her not like a threat but like a fact of the storm. "You'll sleep next to me," he said. The words landed heavy, final, but not cruel. "Not for what you're thinking. For warmth. For survival." Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break her ribs. Every instinct screamed to run, yet the storm outside promised death. She nodded once, tears burning, and in that moment something shifted. Fear didn't disappear, but it loosened its grip, just enough. That night, wrapped in layers of wool and distance, with firelight breathing shadows on the walls, she lay rigid at the edge of the bed while the mountain man kept his back to her, one arm stretched between them like a boundary carved in stone. The storm raged. The cabin held. And for the first time in a very long while, she slept without running. Morning didn't come gently, it arrived in silver light spilling through frost-etched windows, the storm spent in quiet, the world reborn under snow. She woke stiff, embarrassed by how deeply she'd slept, by the unfamiliar weight of safety. The bed beside her was empty, still warm. Panic flared, until she heard the crack of wood and the low hum of a man working. He was at the hearth, tending the fire, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd survived alone for a long time. He handed her a tin cup without comment. "Drink." It was broth, rich and grounding, and she hadn't realized how hungry she was until her hands started shaking. They spoke in pieces that day, her name, his not offered, her past hinted at, his left buried, the mountain looming outside like a test neither had chosen but both understood. When she insisted again that she'd leave before dark, he didn't argue. He simply pointed to the sky. Clouds thickened fast. The mountain had plans of its own. Work filled the hours, chopping wood, mending a fence, learning how to set a snare. He taught without touching, without hovering, giving space like a gift. Trust, she learned, isn't built with words, it's built with consistency. That night, the fire burned lower, and when the cold crept in she didn't beg. She met his eyes instead, steady this time. He nodded once. Same rules. Same distance. Same unspoken promise. As days turned into weeks, the cabin changed, not in structure, but in spirit. Laughter appeared, tentative at first. Silence became comfortable. The mountain man learned that protecting someone didn't mean possessing them, and she learned that strength didn't always raise its voice. When spring finally broke the snow and the trail reappeared, she stood at the edge of the clearing with a pack on her back and a choice in her chest. "I can stay," she said, not pleading, not afraid. He looked at the mountain, then at her, then nodded, not as a keeper, but as a partner to the weather, the work, the life they could build. And that night, with the door open to the stars and the fire warm and honest, she slept next to him again, not because she had to, but because she chose to. If you believe the strongest love is built on respect, protection, and choice, subscribe to this channel for stories that warm the coldest nights. That if stories of strength, safety, and second chances move you, subscribe now. This channel tells the stories that stay with you.